Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where we provide world-class entertainment, education, hope, and inspiration. I'm Dr. JACALYN KERBECK, and our show today is the United Kingdom News and Culture, episode 130. So I believe there are 52 weeks in every year, so you can do the math of how long we've been doing this show. Let's get this show started. DIANN, FLOYD, BOEHM, and HELENA CHARD have the day off, so we hope that they're enjoying themselves. Joining me is my very dear friend. He's also my mentor, and he is a world-class global broadcaster who is on major platforms across the world. He has a following of 1 billion people, and he also is an advocate for empowering women. Let's welcome, no stranger to this show, Mr. Ian Pelham Turner. Hello, sir.
Hello. How are you? Do you know, I was just looking at a close-up of your face just now. I don't know what's happening at the moment, but you are going back in years rather than forward. You look stunning today, so hope all is going well for you. And you're blooming.
Well, thank you. I've been decluttering, so that's always a good feeling. And I understand for those who believe that Mercury is in retrograde. So there's a lot going on, but I'm just happy to be here. And I'm thankful that you are joining me to co-host this show today.
Not a problem at all. And it's going to be a privilege and a pleasure, as always, just to talk about a few things. But I think soon, as you say, that I think we probably need to bring Simon on board as well for a second, because I think we should sing happy birthday to Helena today.
I agree with you. Simon Macdonald is our expert correspondent. He's an incredible author. He's a celebrity chef. He's an expert when it comes to all things involving fisheries. He's won many, many awards, and he is truly a wonderful person. He does presentations every week, and he also has his own show, which is today at 4 o'clock. It's called The Scottish Connection. Let's welcome him to the program. Hello.
Hello, nice to be back. It must be Wednesday again. So there we are. And we're bracing ourselves here in Scotland for the storm from hell, I think, today. Just up the road in the Isle of Skye, they're talking about over 12 inches of rain in 24 hours. I mean, that's serious wet stuff. We're a little bit closer to the equator, so maybe not going to be quite so bad, but it's going to be very windy as well. So it's if my voice gets drowned out today by this howling sound and clattering of rain and so on, forgive me. But it's just so nice to be back.
Well, I hope you have your canoe or kayak ready, so please be safe. Yes. If you have to go out during the
something a bit more substantial than a canoe or a kayak today. Submarine would be probably quite useful.
Yes, for sure. So what do you gentlemen think about the fact that it's so hot everywhere, as well as all of that horrible tragedy, multiple tragedies with that luxury yacht being sucked in? They're saying with some kind of vortex, and things are just happening all over the world. Are you in belief of climate change, or are you against?
Yeah, changes on the hour every hour here just now. That's one thing. Climate is changing.
Yeah. Ian?
I think the reality at the moment is there's lots of things going on. I mean, thank goodness there's the rain about to fall, because I think one of the Hebridean Islands was on fire, wasn't it, with the rocket the other day that a rocket that Britain is trying to build its own rocket at the moment with German help. And they decided that they would fire this rocket off, and it disappeared into this ball of fire so large that it shocked everybody, including, I would think, all the locals as well. And so I just wonder at the moment, at least with the rain, if they try to fire another one and it goes wrong, at least they've got a means of actually putting it out again quicker than before, because it looked incredible. Simon, what did you think of that?
Yeah, well, we're just practicing from Guy Fawkes Night a little bit early. That's it. But yes, it was quite dramatic. This is on the island of Unst, which is the most northerly of the Shetland Isles. Incidentally, of course, I was talking about the Shetland bus last week as well. So it happened to the Shetland rocket sometime as well. Rockets galore spring to mind. Compton Mackenzie's other great work. So it's all coming true now. We've got rockets galore in Shetland.
Absolutely. But I think coming back to Jacalyn's point as well, that, excuse me, I'm getting emotional. It's joining this show, 130 shows. I'm getting emotional already.
You missed us, see?
I think with what Jacalyn is saying as well at the moment, the reality is there's another terrible tragedy. It seems to be tragedy after tragedy at the moment. It really does, because, wherever, I work with channels right across the world these days, and it just seems to be one disaster after another at the moment. I think, well, what on earth is actually happening? I do believe in climate change. I think that there is issues for it. And when you look at these whirlpools that were sort of challenging, apparently in one day in Sicily, in the same area, they had 10 whirlpools in one day. I mean, it's a crazy time. What do you think, Simon? Because obviously you're a very interesting seaman as well, so you know about this. Is it more natural now?
Well, this again is part of climate change. I mean, I remember when I lived a little bit further north from here, near Loch Eilert area, and the sea loch there. I mean, you used to see these water spouts. Whirlpools are the ones that go down the way. Water spouts are the ones that go up the way. And we used to see water spouts there regularly. I mean, even 4 or 5 in a very small area on the loch. It's just this topography of the land and the wind whistling through. And we used to get regular hurricanes there, and quite dramatic. I mean, I've seen it was on the loch. It was only a fairly small dinghy, but I mean, it was about 14, 15 foot long dinghy with a heavy outboard motor on, quite a bit of stuff in, and it was just picked up and thrown halfway across the loch, landed upside down and smashed. So the power in the vortex of these water spouts is unbelievable. So it's just unfortunate, wrong place, wrong time that this has happened. And I've just heard in the news just now that they've found or located another 2 bodies on board. It was they were hidden in behind mattresses. The divers are having big problem because, I mean, it's at 150 meters down, which is a long way down. So the divers, when they go down, they've only got 10 minutes that they can actually work on the site. And then they've got to come up very slowly. It takes about an hour and a half for them coming back up for decompression time, so they don't get the bends. So it's a very difficult recovery operation, this one. I think the best thing they can do really is get a heavy lifting barge in and put slings around the hull and then lift the whole boat up and then do the recovery, because there's so much furniture and bits and pieces floating around there, blocking hatchways and companionways. It's an incredibly dangerous job to recover in a situation like that. It's not easy.
And how do they know there will be more of those? What do you call them? Sink? No, what did you call them?
Yeah. I remember seeing a very dramatic one in Portugal a few years ago, and I was out actually on the west coast here in a yacht race once, and there was a huge one I could see coming up the loch towards us. And I thought, oh, no, please don't let that hit us. We've got big problems if it does. And, fortunately, it veered off and went onto land and then just fell apart. So that was that. But it gave us all a bit of a shock because it's the biggest one I've ever seen in Scotland. And to be actually out in the water heading that direction in a 30-foot yacht, it makes you sort of evaluate things rather quickly.
Hence the reason why I stay on land. But okay, we're going to get to the Royal Roundup. But first, we're going to sing happy birthday. Let me change how we're set up so Simon's not blocked. Okay, we're going to sing happy birthday to Helena, even though it says that it's Simon Macdonald. We know that it's Helena. Okay, on 3.
The hair's a bit longer there.
3,
Here we
2,
go.
1. Wait, why did it do that? Hold on. It keeps changing around. I don't know what it's doing.
Yeah.
Okay. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Helena. Happy birthday to you. And many more.
Yeah.
Playing the role of Simon Macdonald today on this screen. Happy birthday, Helena.
Just had a thought today, Dr. JACALYN. You're outnumbered. The boys are outnumbered the girls today. This is the first time ever on this show.
And by the way, I have no control over who's where on the screen. The wave video does it by itself and puts us wherever it wants. So thank you for singing. Happy birthday to Helena. Helena, we love you and miss you. Diane, we love you and miss you too. Ian, we're going to go over to you to find out what's been going on with the British royal family.
Right. Well, as you know at the moment, JACALYN, we now do royal breaking news. So I'm going to just give you some teasers today. I'm not going to give you royal news, but I'm going to give you some teasers over looking at what may be happening on royal breaking news over the next week. Because obviously, you know, I know, and Helena knows as well what it is, what's going on at the moment. But we're trying to make it a little bit more interesting for people who follow us. And we've got thousands of followers now on Royal Breaking News at the same time. So my first teaser, and I don't need the answer to this, even if you may know it, is that in reality, this week, in fact, yesterday, the King Charles has now got a price on his head. That's a cryptic piece of information. And secondly, I've been hearing that there's some very unusual things going on in London right now. Michael Douglas and Catherine Zeta-Jones. Apparently now there is a royal connection. Well, what do you think that might be? Well, watch Royal Breaking News, and then you may find out. And then at the moment as well, King Charles has been visiting an area in the northwest of England, Southport, after a tragedy occurs as well. And he's been very conciliatory and gone to see people who have been really badly affected by this. Again, Royal Breaking News will tell you more about it at the same time. And I think, well, when I've been looking at the royal news this week, more than anything, you know, that you just never know what is going to sort of happen next with it. And I think, you know, from my point of view, I get asked constantly by channels exactly what is going on with the royal family. And I have to tell you, if I knew, I'd make a fortune. It's like having a crystal ball at the moment because, you know, a lot of the time we can only sort of second guess what might be happening. One bit of news that I have heard about that if this is correct, and I've been assured that it is that William and Kate are going to be doing a major amount of interviews and traveling around Britain and perhaps other countries in the next year now. Kate is so much better. And so that is an interesting point as well. And again, we will find out in the future what is going on, with the royal family at the same time. And obviously, I'm listening to what's happening in America. And again, with Harry and Meghan going on at the moment, I think the reality with the two of them and with all of them is that what is making Harry angry? I would say in one word, it's the royal family. What's making the royal family angry? Well, I would say in two words, Harry and Meghan. It seems like there's a constant source of acrimony going on between both ends of the Atlantic at the moment. And I think it has to stop. I think, as I've said in the past, when I first heard about this and I was asked to comment on it, this was in the days of Queen Elizabeth. And I then said, in reality, in those days, Queen Elizabeth used to walk around with this huge staff, this big stick, whenever she went out walking, and she was pictured with it quite regularly. And I said in those days, quite honestly, what I want to see happen is that I want to see Queen Elizabeth use this big stick, herd all the royal members in a room, and don't let them out until they sort out all these situations. For me and for any royalist as well, we want to see the royal family united. I get it that Harry and Meghan have not been the best examples of giving away the secrets of the royal family. But royal family, let me send a message to you. Why are there secrets in the first place? That's what I ask as well. Why are there royal secrets? Because in reality, you serve us. We don't serve you so much. That is my feeling in the first place. And so it is time now for the royal family to come together to actually find ways of moving forward. Because there's all sorts of issues going on right now. There's issues with Prince Andrew at the moment. Will he move? What is happening to him? Is he going to be assured of anything in the future? Not really, as we can see at the moment, not unless he moves home from where he is in the Royal Lodge at the moment, down to Frogmore Cottage, where really Harry and Meghan used to live as well. So it is all up for grabs. Finally, I just want to leave on a positive note on the royal news. The royal family is one of the greatest families in this world. It is respected right across the world. Its brand is incredible. Its people are incredible as well. And I just want, as so do the rest of the British nation, and no doubt Americans as well, I just want there to be peace as well. Back to you, JACALYN.
Woo! Stirring the pot there, my friend. I love it. Great reporting. Thank you. We do have a comment from the lovely, beautiful birthday girl, Helena CHARD. Woo! Thank you for watching, Helena. We hope whatever you're doing today, you're really having fun. All right, Ian, great information you provided. Just want to let people know they can watch Royal Breaking News every day at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, which is 9 p.m. Is it GMT now or BST? I don't even know.
Oh, we're in British Silly Time, BST.
Silly Time. And following is the Scottish Connection. So check that out later today. Ian and Helena are also on the Royally Rich Lifestyle Show, which you can see on Wednesdays, today, and Fridays. But this week, there's a break because the show is not going on live this week. So, Simon, what are your thoughts about what Ian shared about the royal family?
Yeah, I mean, it's. I think he's got a very good point there. I mean, I think probably a very controversial remark, but it's perfectly true that they're there to serve us rather than us there to serve them. And I mean that's going to mull around my mind for quite some time to come. Immortal words from the great Ian Turner. But there's plenty going on. Of course, they're in Scotland just now, so there we are. So it's over the Scottish correspondent. yes, this is their summer break now in Balmoral, so they can sort of let the hair down a bit. It would be interesting to be a fly on the wall, because apparently Prince Andrew is also at Balmoral, having just been told that his funding has been removed for his 10-strong security force. So I think that it would be an interesting dinner time conversation, that one, which might spill over into the forecourt. So it would be interesting being a fly on the wall there. The Harry and Meghan saga, I mean, yes, it goes on. And they've been out in Colombia, and it's on this quasi royal tour, and they've gained a lot of publicity, and actually they've gained a lot of very good publicity for a change from that. But there's more questions than answers in why are they doing this? Why are they going there? Especially since Harry was actually turned around and said a while ago, says, I won't come to the UK to my uncle Lord Fellow's funeral because it's too dangerous. I thought, right, and he goes off to Colombia. Figure that one out.
I think he has to make a point, Harry, at times. And I get all sides, quite honestly, Simon, because, I have respect for all members of the royal family. But at times, I think that they seem to live in their own royal bubble. And really, where's the traction with the rest of Great Britain and in America? Americans have 2 points of view. They're like, in Britain, we have a saying that people are like Marmite. You either like it or you don't. And I think in America, I think that they've got exactly the same sort of feeling. I hear from different channels that I work with that some people love them totally. And I have to admit that there's just been a television program 2 nights on Harry and Meghan on Channel 5, one of our major broadcasters. And they were talking about the rise and fall of Harry and Meghan. Well, I don't see a fall in Harry and Meghan, but I do see that I can understand at times. For me, I'm a royalist, but I'm also a person who fights for civil rights. I'm also a person that fights for female rights. And I'm also a person that supports communities 200% as well. And when Meghan first came to Britain, really a lot of people of colour in Britain then saw the royal family for the first time in many years as a family that respected who they were as well. When I talk to a lot of young youths these days, black youths especially, they feel invisible in this country right now. And I don't want to see that happen. And when I go to events and I have to give a speech, and afterwards they come up to me and they say, well, we're astonished you're here. And I say, why? Why do you think why are you astonished I'm here? Because, nobody cares for us. This has got to stop as well. And I think, from my point of view, what Meghan did do was she brought in an American air, which I love. She broke rule after rule after rule, and I love it because the pomposity sometimes of this British royal family, I swear to God, I wonder whether in the 21st century or the 18th, And one of the biggest rules that she used to break, and I used to love her for doing it, she used to sign autographs. And one of the biggest rules of the royal family is you're not supposed to sign autographs. As you're walking through the crowd, don't sign autographs. There she is, writing autographs. And I think the best thing that I ever saw Meghan do, and it sent a shiver down my spine, the first time I ever saw, they were in Yorkshire, and this is their first public visit. And the rule is that the spouse gets in before the royal prince, goes back into the car. And so Meghan knew about this. So Harry was already coming in and he was sitting down inside the car. Meghan turns around because they're shouting at the crowds. And then she sees this little girl in the crowd. And she goes over and she crouched down and she started talking to the little girl. That's Diana. And I thought the first time I ever saw that, I got very emotional when I watched it, because working with Diana, that was exactly the same as what Megan was doing as well. And she's just got that air about her, and I know, I mean, at the moment, most of my working week is, I'm in America, believe it or not, in spirit, if not in anything else, because I'm covering the American politics at the moment, and I'm watching all these things going on, and I'm not going to sort of suggest for 1 second which side anybody is on in America right now, but I swear to goodness, this is the most exciting political intrigue that I've seen in years. I'm looking forward to the next 76 days. 77 days I'm really looking forward to, if I'm really honest, because this is going to be the pièce de résistance of political royal battles, and I love it.
Wow. Thanks for sharing all of that. I know that some people are definitely in agreement with what you shared, and there are other people who are not here today who might not be. So anyway, food for thought. Thank you, Ian. Simon, I know you have a presentation for us, and it's very near and dear to your heart. Do you want to tell our audience what you're going to be talking about today?
Yes, well, this is, this is really, it's actually quite a difficult one for me to do, but I'm going to be serializing this over the next 3 weeks. And really, it started in 1944, when the tide of war was turning with the Normandy landings. Another ferocious battle was being waged in Italy around the town monastery of Monte Cassino. Those involved with the D-Day landings called the servicemen on the Italian front the D-Day Dodgers. However, when it came to loss of life, the figures told a different and very tragic story. 55,000 Allied servicemen were killed in the Battle of Cassino, making it the heaviest toll of any battle of World War II, and actually almost of most of the battles of World War I. So over the next 3 weeks, I'm reading from the diary, which I have here, of one soldier who fought at Cassino. The diary was written on whatever scraps of paper that came to hand, and it was written on the battlefield itself. The soldier who wrote the diary was a Major James Macdonald, MC. He was my father. So it starts off in St. Elia in March 1944. Into the line on a very dark night to take over from French Alpine Troop, we lay up in a deep gully about 5 miles long, just before the plain of Cassino, known as the Inferno, and in the dark made the additional 2.5 miles approach march. Light shelling all the way up and very heavy concentration on battalion headquarters area whilst changeover took place. No casualties suffered, strangely enough, for the shelling was fast and heavy. Battalion headquarters were in the monastery, reasonably safe and sheltered, under enemy observation by day, so all movement had to be done at night. Full moon coming up, so patrolling will be sticky work. At 0300 hours, changeover complete, we went round all companies with the commanding officer arriving back at first light. Second night, A Company Recce Patrol contacted Germans. D Company Recce Patrol contacted Germans. Third night, A Company Recce Patrol contacted Germans. D Company Recce Patrol also contacted Germans. Fourth night, C Company Recce Patrol contacted Germans under Bob Lamont. He narrowly escaped with his life, being fired on by automatics at 5 yards range. Got some good information then into the Cassino, the place most people wanted to avoid. Said by so many who ought to know that fighting and life in Cassino was the worst ever experienced in all time. It's impossible to give a day-to-day account of what happened. I tried, but found it totally impossible. My capacity was adjutant, our regular adjutant, Ben Leslie, being left out of the battle. We occupied Cassino for 12 days. B Company took the castle for 12 days, as only one platoon at a time could occupy that position. A Company had ruins of the post office, D Company, the park and ruins around it, C Company in reserve, and battalion headquarters was split into two. Forward being the crypt in the town, and the rear in a farmhouse south of the Rapido. Front and rear changed over after 6 days. The town itself, a pure ruin. Not a wall intact. Not a street or a road you could actually distinguish from the bomb craters and rubble. Knocked out tanks lay everywhere, and dead bodies, including one of an American nurse, lay rotting all around and couldn't be shifted. The scene of devastation and filth justifies description, and the stench of dead flesh nauseating. The crypt itself was well underground, the air foul, no daylight penetrated. Light was by an oil lamp and candles. About 29 people were cramped into it, and all cooking was done there. Nothing happened during daylight. The movement was impossible. So close were the Germans and ourselves. At night, just after dusk, the town was a hive of feverish activity, clouds of artillery smoke, bursting shells, mortars, and Nebelpfeffers. For then, the porters appeared on both sides, bringing the rations, ammunition, and living necessities. What a job! Struggling with the best part of 100 weight on the back through filth, bodies, shell holes, bullets, and shelling to deliver their stuff, and then bail out as quickly as possible. We lost a complete platoon of D Company one night, except for a sergeant and 3 men. They just vanished in the general confusion of first darkness. The sergeant didn't get back until the night after, told us the Germans had crept in on them unobserved and overran their position, killing and wounding many and taking several prisoners. The officer, Bert Matthews, was seriously wounded and taken prisoner. He was since written to me, and it's with the 5th Battalion in Germany. We lost many men by the shelling and small arms, and inflicted heavy losses on the Germans by artillery fire and Bren fire. One annoying thing happened. We brought down a murderous stonk on a crowd of Germans, and they'd retaliated on some of our forward positions. Casualties were heavy on both sides. We couldn't get forward to one of our slits, which had 2 badly wounded men in it. So 2 German SBs put up a Red Cross flag and came into our forward slit and carried our 2 wounded in for us. The Austin returned to borrow a stretcher for half an hour to remove some of their wounded lying in front of us. Well, we lent them one, and they returned it with their officer, and their officer's commanding thanks about an hour later. Cases like this were few and far between, and it was invariably a violation of the Red Cross flag that was witnessed. Coming out of the line was a nightmare, shelling, mortaring all the way, but we suffered no casualties on the changeover. Major Jock Stewart and I were the last men out. Poor Jock had a boil on his bottom, but that didn't prevent him from doing a pretty nifty sprint down the Mad Mile at the finish-up. Our opponents were the 1st Parachute Division, the Hellcats of Greece. Our casualties were about 45 killed. Coriano in September 44. We pushed over to the east coast. Heard fighting wasn't as bad there. What a fable. I broke a rib, got a splinter in my shoulder, so left out a battle for Rimini. Mike Kirch took the company in. Heavy casualties, horrible sitting safely at the rear, knowing your boys are fighting instead. Cesena, October 1944. Day 1. B and D companies crossed the Savio River in the dark. A company kept in reserve with battalion headquarters. At 4 p.m., A company crossed in daylight and mopped up a company of 1 Parachute Division in several blocks of flats and on stadium. Captured German ration party, complete with food and mail. Good to have that. Beer too. Day 2, held on tight against counter-attacks and very heavy shelling. No joke this, but cover good and the cellars deep. Day 3, same again. Called back over the river to conference for a dawn attack. Don't like it. Jocks are all very tired. Day 4, dawn attack. Terrific artillery barrage, and we advanced behind it. Hit heavy opposition, but wiped it out. We suffered heavily ourselves. Captain Silcock and Paddy Strange were both badly wounded. Lot of bad casualties. Took all objectives, swigged some vino, and cheered D Company as they passed through us. Rumours are we're being pulled out tonight. Brigadier orders a company to push through D Company, who are badly held up. Graham sends us. I am annoyed. Attack and tanks and knock Jerry for 6. Push on 2.5 miles and sit down in a lovely little village. Relief King's Royal Regiment takes over at 10 p.m. and we limp back into Cesena and good billets for a 12-day rest and refit. At Forley, November 1944, on day 1, advance at 1 a.m. and pass through 10 Brigade on the Forley airfield. Order A, D, and B, no tanks. Everything very quiet. Start clearing town systematically, but discover no Germans. So back on foot for the other side of Forley, right up to the main street. People were wildly enthusiastic. I don't like them. Just on the other side, come under fire from all kinds of weapons, and commanding officer dispersed his battalion into various sections. Jerry's still strong this side. So day 2, B and D companies do double attack through A on the crossroads on the outskirts of town. Disastrous. Arthur Steele killed, casualties terribly heavy. Prisoners are taken of all of German SS division with very pansy black uniforms of all things. B and D companies, well, day 3, same thing. 10 Brigade are trying a party on our right, not successful. He's fighting harder than ever, the beggar. Day 4, plans made for the dawn attack. Order A company and tanks, B and D companies, like this one. Looks easy. Don't think we'll hit much. Mail arrived, probably accounts for feeling. Day 5, dawn attack. Started very well. Captured German wagon full of kit, also motorbike. Second objective made stiff opposition, but we turned the company and tanks on it and captured 31 prisoners, all very surprised. Third objective was captured, 10 prisoners, and killed and wounded many. Jock's now fighting mad, and tanks giving wonderful support. We've left battalion about 2 miles behind now, but Jerry is running, nearing the main road and river, so going more cautiously. Plan my final attack on a village and the road junction. I send in 1 platoon of a troop of tanks, and as all is quiet. Suddenly, all hell let loose, and my company, who aren't killed, are driven back. George Alexander killed, 2 tanks are knocked out. We hold it till dusk and put 2 platoon attack. No use. Commanding officer says, hold it, and as we fought well, and he'll send through D company and the carrier. D company passes through and we rest. Bob Lamont was wounded. Day 6, sitting tight. Commanding officer sends for all company commanders to tell them, next action, Morricane. I was at the rear of the echelon, but it was only a 2-day scrap. When it was over, Graham Smith went to a court-martial of someone, and I took over A company. Rome fell. That's part 1 today of my father's fighting at Casino. It was a hard, hard fight, a hard, hard battle.
Wow. How do you feel? That must have been really tough to share that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very.
You said it's an exclusive. It's never been told before.
This has never been shown publicly before. I'm writing a book of the diary just now, and it's taking quite a bit of time to do. But the Black Watch Museum, he was in 6th Battalion of the Black Watch, and the Black Watch Museum are so pleased to have a copy of this document in. He said it's an incredibly important document of the war experience in Casino. And he said and it's all verifiable and totally accurate as well. So it's they really did suffer, these guys, as well, and it was just lucky that any of them got out.
Incredible. Let's take a look at the actual diary. Can you tell us what we're looking at here?
Yes, that's St. Elia. That's actually the first page. It's a map of the positions in St. Elia. Sorry, I'm looking at the original here. Yes, so that's a map of their positions there. There's another map later on of Casino itself from April 44, which that's the one. Yeah. So that lines out the picture there. I remember my father telling me it was the worst experience of his life being in there, and he just thanked God that he actually managed to come out relatively unscathed. So a lot of his friends didn't. He's standing there with his foot in a box of hand grenades of all things as well. So I don't know whether they were primed or not, but he was ready to go in. He had a tough time. Well, that's King George the Sixth, who is inspecting the troops behind the lines after fighting is over. So he's actually talking to my father there as well. So And there's my father on the right with his Jeep. His Jeep was called Shimi. It's on the badge on the front of it. He called it Shimi. And that was after Lord Lovat, because my father started off the war in the Lovat Scouts, which was a special forces unit. And then later the Lovat Scouts split into two, one half of them going back to the UK and training for Normandy. And then the other half stayed and after North Africa did the Italian campaign. So my father was very, very friendly with Lord Lovat, to the point where Lord Lovat actually became my godfather. So a lot of family history goes through all this. So the Jeep was called Shimi. Shimi is the Gaelic for Simon. And Shimi was Lord Lovat's first name in Gaelic. He was actually Simon Fraser. There we are.
And you did a segment on Lovat as well, didn't you?
I did, yes. That was a wee while ago as well. Now, I did. Yes, I did a piece on Lord Lovat. He's quite an amazing character, absolutely incredible character.
Well, we are coming to the end of our show, but Simon, I do want to ask you for such a personal story, an emotional journey. What was it that was coming up for you that you decided this was the time to share and this was the place to share?
I've been giving this a lot of long, hard thought and so on. And I just felt, well, there's a book coming. I've been in touch with the Black Watch Museum and, and they're so elated the fact that they've got a copy of this document now. As I say, we've got another 2 weeks of it, and it really does heat up as the diary goes on. So they're elated. So I thought, okay, this is the 80th anniversary of Casino, and I thought, what better time is there than now to bring forward and bring it out, let the world know, basically.
Well, congratulations for your book and for bringing this story to light, and thank you for sharing with us. Ian, what would you like to comment on? I think
it is very emotive. First of all, I think the reality. I think my father obviously went through the Second World War. He met my mother in Germany, and they married in Brunswick Cathedral. And I always remember my parents were saying to me that the roof had been blown off. There had been bombed, the cathedral. And on the day that they got married, it started snowing. So as they were saying their vows, then snow was pouring down onto them at the same time. But,
cold confetti.
Yeah, and my mother was told years later that, and I always remember my father looking slightly sort of shamefaced because 3 days before the wedding, my father still hadn't got the wedding ring for my mother, and so he was a sergeant major. So he sent one of his soldiers out to find him a ring, a wedding ring, for my mother. And the soldier came back and gave the wedding ring to my father, and this was placed very appropriately on my mother's hand. And years later, my mother asked him one day, she said, how did you manage to get that wedding ring? Now, this is a strange memory because this is going back years. She said, how did you manage to get that wedding ring? Oh, he said, I sent out Bill so-and-so. And she said, well, how did you know? How did you know that he was going to get a wedding ring for me? He said, I knew he'd find something. He said, he used to be a burglar. And my mother, I always remember my mother's face. She said, "You what?"
Well, still something came in handy at some point.
My goodness. the original white wedding, getting snowed on, you're giving your vows.
Absolutely. So
Yes.
to this day, I still remember the look on my mother's face. And it was like a look of thunder.
Not an answer you would be expecting, that's for sure. Well, thank you both for sharing personal stories like that. I know it takes courage to do that, and it just gives us insights to both of you. So thanks again. Simon, you're going to close us out with On This Day. What do you have for us?
Yes, well, on this day, I mean, this has become quite a feature now, I think. So on this day in 1863, the Lawrence Massacre, Quantrill's Raid, by another name, 450 Confederate guerrillas led by William Quantrill and Frank James attacked the Unionist town of Lawrence in Kansas, killing more than 150 unarmed men and boys. Well, that was a show. In 1888, the American inventor William Seward Burroughs patented the adding machine. In 1989, Voyager 2 spacecraft begins a flyby of the planet Neptune. So birthdays on this day. In 1938, it was Kenny Rogers, the American country singer and songwriter and entrepreneur, and he was born in Houston in Texas. 1956, Kim Cattrall, British-Canadian actress in Sex and the City, born in Liverpool in England. She's 67 today. Happy birthday, Kim, and so on. I remember that dinner that we had in Scotland and so on. She's quite a character. So that was a few years ago. Personal bit that comes in again, yes. 1973, Sergey Brin, the Russian-born American computer scientist and businessman, co-founder of Google with Larry Page, was born in Moscow in Russia, and he's 50 today as well. Happy birthday. Deaths today, well, always got to have those too, I suppose. 1940, Leon Trotsky, the Ukrainian-Russian Marxist revolutionary, political theorist and founder of the Red Army, was assassinated aged 62 by an ice pick wielding Raymond Mercader. In 1947, Ettore Bugatti, the Italian-French automobile designer and manufacturer of Bugatti cars, dies aged 65. So there we have On This Day, today.
Thank you so much. How about that about Kim? I didn't realize you had met her, and we could have seen you on an episode of Sex and the City. What happened there? How'd you not get on that show?
Well, no, she was in Scotland for something, and so I was at dinner with her, and we had quite a long conversation over the table as well. She's quite a character, and so that was it. Yeah, that was an interesting dinner, that one as well. There was an awful lot drunk that night as well. True Scottish tradition, of course. Oh, and Ian, I'm sorry, but there was a lot of smoked salmon that night as well.
Absolutely.
That's a long-standing joke between Ian and I, and
Yes.
the show as well.
And Ian, we just want to say congratulations. You are very slim and lean there. So any secrets you want to share with our audience?
It is a diet called Don't Eat.
It's lack of smoked salmon.
I discovered it by sheer chance when no, I was going to say when there's nothing in the pantry. That's a lie.
When the food prices went up.
But in reality, no. I needed to lose weight. I'm feeling so much better for it. I'm still going to lose more weight still. There's new things happening at the moment. I mean, not a lot of people know what's going on, but there may be some new activities to share with you all before too long as well. They're quite exciting. So I want to look camera ready as best as I can. You know.
I hear.
Yes, I wish I could lose some. I mean, I'm just looking at the screen just now. I notice there's not enough room in this little box that I'm in. I'll need to do something about that drastically.
Ian, do you have an announcement that love is in the air? You're going to have something to tell us?
No. Far from it at the moment. I think, as my business life goes up, my personal life seems to have disappeared out the window right now. Yeah. You know, and so I'm hoping that a more svelte self may sort of help to sort of inspire ladies, to come and talk to me at least.
Well, we wish you all the best with that. Single ladies out there, give Miss Ree and Tom Turner a follow on Facebook. Simon, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
Well, I mean, you can send a carrier pigeon if you like, but it'll get blown away today, that's for sure. Yeah, I've got my email, macdonaldsimon@ymail.com, or there's Facebook, LinkedIn as well. I mean, I do such a lot through LinkedIn with my fisheries hat on, and aquaculture and all the rest as well. So link in with me. That's the way to do it.
All right, fantastic. Thank you both for being here. I really do appreciate it. We're going to close out the show now, and we'll see you next week. Bye, Ian. Bye, Simon.
Great.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks a lot, everybody.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone, for watching and for listening, whether it's on the live or the replay. I just want to share with you that in addition to our live streaming broadcasts, our shows are now being turned into actual audio podcasts. You can find them on the podcast platforms as well. Ann Scotland is coming up next with her show, Podcast Maestro, Launch It. And we have a special episode of the Resume Whisperer today with Joseph Stetter from Canada that will be immediately following. The Royally Rich Lifestyle Show is on vacation for today, so you will not be seeing that show, but we will have royal breaking news as well as the Scottish Connection. We also have a new show, How Not to Suck at Networking. Yes, that's right, with the lovely Ashley Owens, who started me down this journey. She had a show called Connect to Success, and I was a guest on her show, and I was smiling so much like this. I went to the owner of the television station. I said, I want to have my own show, and I started with Rapping with Dr. JACALYN. So love Ashley Owens. And then we will have Next Generation Level with Robert J. Moore, who is an expert in so many areas. So stay tuned for that. We will also have later in the day weekly wisdom and insights with Dear James. And that's a fabulous show. He just joined us recently as well. And following Saving America with Dr. David D. Shine. We have a lot of shows today. So do stay tuned. Follow us. Subscribe on YouTube, USA Global TV and radio, and also Dr. JACALYN KERBECK YouTube channel. Thanks again for being here. Be kind and just thank yourself for being as fabulous as you are. Bye for now.